I have a special love for turtles, and this stems not just through the wild resident pond turtles that I have in my area, but from having adopted two special individuals. Back in 2011, I fell in love with some local pond turtles near my apartment, and out of curiosity, I researched how pet turtles were cared for. I learned everything I could and decided I would take the plunge and get one of my own. During my weeks of online research, I discovered that sadly many pet turtles are given up, neglected, or outright abandoned by people that no longer want to care for them. Once cute hatchlings reach their full adult size, which can be quite large, their owners often decide they are too much of an inconvenience to care for anymore. Some may end up in turtle rescues, but many times rescues are already filled to the brim. Turtles are actually one of the most abandoned pets in North America, if not the world. Many pets have been irresponsibly released into the wild, which is neither good for the turtles or native wildlife for many reasons. Caring for a pet turtle takes devotion, money, and patience. They are also potentially a lifetime commitment, some outliving their owners. But if carefully taken into consideration, these animals can be rewarding and unique members of the family. It is with this problem in mind that I decided to adopt. After frequenting Turtle Forum message board, I was made aware of the Mid-Atlantic Turtle and Tortoise Society, M.A.T.S for short. M.A.T.S has had a meaningful impact in their community. Just a few examples of their work include conducting reptile workshops for students, presenting at the National Zoo's Wildlife 911 workshop on how to triage, house, and release box turtles back to their natural habitat. They are also successful at rehoming more than 100 turtles and tortoises a year through their Maryland DNR license adoption program. Myron was my first adoptee from M.A.T.S. He and another hatchling were bought from a vendor on a beach with the horribly inadequate set of baby turtles are so often sold with. The sellers never tell the buyers that these turtles will quickly outgrow this. That is, if they don't die first, because much of the care given to tiny turtles is subpar. Once the owner realized they were in over their head, they surrendered the hatchlings to M.A.T.S. Myron was named after my late father's middle name. He is a yellow-bellied slider and was only about a year old when I received him. He was one of two turtles, but he had a shell deformity. It's referred to as kyphosis, or a curvature of the spine. It is likely congenital, and it hasn't really affected his health at all. I actually chose him because I feared that he wouldn't be adopted for what was technically little more than a cosmetic abnormality. He was barely 2 inches long at the time he arrived in a box shipped overnight, and I feared he might have trouble growing since his previous tank mate had been bigger. It's funny thinking that now, since he has grown to nearly 6 inches and eats everything. The journey of earning the trust of this scared little yearling was quite the experience. Even as he grew larger, he became accustomed to begging and being privy to the daily routine. After 7 years, he still begs, basks without a care, and lives in a 75-gallon tank. He's still growing, which makes me nervous that another upgrade may be in the future. At least for now, his growth is much slower, and he's a happy turtle. Just 6 months after adopting Myron, the M.A.T.S adoption coordinator contacted me regarding a small, slightly special needs box turtle in need of a home. This little eastern box turtle had been found in someone's yard as a hatchling, and unfortunately, the person keeping him didn't provide the diet, habitat, or UVB lighting he so needed. As a result, this turtle's shell distorted and stopped growing properly. At some point, he was surrendered to Matt.S and was brought back to health in their care. I knew it would be crazy to take a second turtle so soon after adopting my first, but I did it anyway, and I'm glad I did. He was 3.5 years old at the time of adoption, and he had been driven down to Florida with another Matt.S member. I'll never forget the way that he looked straight up at me with his big head. Despite his deformity, he had some of the beautiful coloring eastern box turtles are known for. I didn't care that his head was a little too big for his body or that he had skinny little legs and a messed up shell. I loved him. Over the years that he's been with me, Dax has developed a feisty personality that betrays his condition. His skinny legs are stronger than they look, and he is known to climb in precarious situations, often resulting in the trampling of live plants I try to keep growing in his enclosure. He's been caught sitting on top of the big spider plant I have in there if I'm late with food. He doesn't care if I'm across the room. He will keep staring and knocking plants over until dinner is served. He also likes to attack the spray bottle that I used to mist his enclosure as if it's an enemy, all because I sprayed his shell once. He has a penchant for biting towels and refusing to let go until he feels his point has been made. Dax also enjoys going for exploratory walks in supervised areas and climbing things he probably shouldn't. Like most box turtles, he prefers to be left alone in privacy, as their nature is one of secrecy on forest floors. However, he can often be seen poking his head out of his log hide to check on what's going on. He takes naps during the day. Sometimes you can catch him basking under his heat lamp. Other times it looks like you don't have a turtle at all. And when you peer into the enclosure looking for him, you realize he's been hiding in plants staring back at you the whole time. Myron and Dax are very unique turtles. Even with every imperfection, they are special members of my family, and I feel privileged to give them both better lives than what they started with.